Hey guys, today I want to talk about flow control, which is basically how the computer goes about running through a set of code. More specifically, I want to talk about if statements. If statements basically a type of flow control that only runs a set of code if a condition is met. So it's kind of like a guard at a gate. Only if you meet a certain requirement can you enter. So let's just hop into Xcode and I'll show you what an if statement looks like. So an if statement consists of three parts: the if keyword, the condition, and the statement. So in order for the statement to be executed, the condition must be true. Let's do a really quick example. Let's say that we want to figure out if you're the right age to vote. In the US, the voting age is 18 years old, so I'm just going to set an age that's lower than that. I'm going to declare an integer and I'm going to say that I am 17. And I'm going to say if age is greater than or equal to 18, brace, print, you can vote. So when it goes through, you can see that since the age 17 is not greater than 18, you can vote is not printed. But let's say that if my age is greater than 17 and I'm actually 19, then you can vote pops up. So that's it. We have an if keyword, the conditional, and the statement inside. You may have noticed that I use a greater than and equal to sign in my conditional. Well, this greater than or equal to sign is just one of many operators that we can use in if statements. These operators will allow you to do a wide variety of things with if statements. So let's just go over those operators. So first off, we have the really basic comparison operators that compare two parts of a condition. So we have the greater than, which is indicated by this, the less than, greater than or equal to, which is a greater than with an equal sign next to it, and a less than or equal to, which is a less than symbol with an equal sign next to it. And finally, we have equals to, which is two equal signs put next to each other. We learned yesterday that just one equal sign is actually an assignment operator, and it assigns a certain value to a variable or constant. But since we just want to compare and see if they're mathematically equal, we write it with two equal signs next to each other. So that's pretty basic, and you just basically use these by substituting them into the conditional that we wrote before. So let's just do a really quick example just to get some practice. Now let's just say that we have two ages. So I'm going to have the first person be 18, and I'm going to have the second person be 24. So I'm going to have a conditional that says only if person 2 is older than person 1 can something happen. So I'm going to say if person 2 is greater than person 1, brace, print, person 2 is older than person 1. Simple enough. It prints person 2 is older than person 1, and that's pretty basic stuff. And if we were to flip it around so that the condition weren't true, then we would find that the print statement does not execute. So the second type of operator that I want to go over are the logical operators, which basically modify or combine the Boolean true and false values. So there are three logical operators in Swift. So let me just declare a variable that's a Boolean. So I'm going to say var is true equals to true. The first operator is called the not operator, which is just denoted by an exclamation point. So I'm going to say if not is true, then print not true. So what this basically means that it reverses the Boolean of the conditional. So let's just say if the conditional was originally true, then it would become false, and if the conditional was originally false, it would become true. We don't actually have to do this with just Booleans. We can in fact do this with multiple things. So let's say I have a number 7 and a var number 2 that's 9. I can say if number 1 is greater than number 2, do this. So obviously, since number 1 is not greater than number 2, the thing does not execute. So that is a false conditional. But if we were to suddenly flip it around and put an exclamation point to it, that basically says if number 1 is not greater than number 2, then it would print not true. So that flips the conditional around so that a false conditional is now a true conditional. Alright, so that's the not logical operator. The next we have the and logical operator, which basically means that if we have two parts to a condition, both parts of that condition must be true. So for example, I can say if number 1 equals to 7, as you can see with the double equal sign, and, which is denoted by two ampersands, number 2 is equal to 9, print cool. And as you can see, because number 1 and number 2 are equal to the values that I wanted to check for, cool is printed. If, for example, only one of them was false, cool is not printed. Which brings us to the last logical operator called the OR operator, which is denoted by two vertical lines. The OR operator, unlike the true, only requires one of the two conditionals to be true. If one of them is true, then the statement is executed. So we can tell that number 1 is not actually equal to 7, it equals to 8, so that's a false. But number 2 actually equals 9, so that's true. So, because one of these are true, it prints cool. Additionally, if number equals to 7, it would also print cool. So an OR just checks for at least one true statement. You can do these between multiple variables. So if I have number 3 equals to 11, and I say or number 3 equals to 11, it works out equally fine. So now only one of these 3 have to be true. And the same can work with the AND statement, where all 3 have to be true in order for cool to be printed. Let's do a quick example. I'm going to declare an age, and I'm going to make an integer, and I'm going to say 18, and I'm also going to declare a boolean called is mature, and I'm going to make it equal to true. So I want to make a program that checks if a person is eligible to enter a bar. So to enter the bar, the requirements are that your age must be greater than or equal to 21, and you must be mature. So, as you can see, if I print can enter bar, because he is not over 21, he cannot enter the bar. As you can see, nothing prints. However, if I make him equal to 22, then suddenly he can enter the bar. And as you can see, because is mature is a boolean, you don't actually need to write is mature equals to true, because since is mature is already a true or false statement, you don't actually need to have any comparison operators with it. In addition to the if statement, we can also use the else statement, meaning that if this condition wasn't met, the computer would do something else. So let's just say we can do else, brace, and we can say print, sorry, you cannot enter the bar. So right now, the computer prints can enter bar and does not print the else because both conditions are true. This condition is satisfied, so it does not go to else. But let's say, again, we make his age 15. Then, the else statement executes and you see, sorry, you cannot enter the bar. In addition to else, we can also add something else called else if. So that basically means that if none of the conditions above were satisfied, it goes down to the else if and sees if that is satisfied. And so let's just write else if, which is how you write the else if statement. Age is greater than or equal to 21 and is mature is not true. So he's not mature. So that you can print, sorry, you are not mature enough. So let's just say that he actually satisfies the age limit, but is mature is false. So what prints is, sorry, you are not mature enough, because the first if conditional is not satisfied, so it hops down to the second conditional, and since this is satisfied, it prints, sorry, you are not mature enough. Awesome. We can stack up else if statements. So let's just say that his age is less than 21 and he is mature. So we can account for every case. Then you can print, sorry, you are not old enough. Cool. So we can do the same thing. I'll make him 15, but make is mature true. So what's going to print is, sorry, you are not old enough. Since the first two statements are not true, but the last statement is true, it prints that last statement. Alright, now we can actually embed if statements within if statements. So let's just say that if a person can enter the bar, then there's also another condition of whether or not he can sit in a booth or not. So I'm going to introduce another variable called money. So how much money the person has, and I'm going to make that amount 12. So he has $12. So to enter a booth, the person needs $15. So if money is greater than or equal to 15, then he can enter the booth. Else, can't enter booth. So let's just flip some variables around. I'm going to make him qualified to go into the bar. And as you can see, it says can enter bar and can't enter booth because he doesn't have enough money. Now if I were to make money equal to 15, then suddenly he can enter the booth. Now this is essentially all you have to know about if conditionals. So let's just do a final review. First off, we learned that an if statement has to consist of the if keyword, the conditional, and the statement inside. Only if the conditional is met can the statement inside be executed. We also learned a ton of operators. So first of all, we learned the comparison operators of greater than, less than, equals than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. And we also learned the logical operators of not, and or. Additionally, we talked about the else if statement and the else statement, and we also learned that we can in fact embed if statements inside other if statements. So without further ado, I'm just going to give you something to try on your own, and we're going to review it together at the end. So let's just say that you want to buy a house. But in order to buy a house, that house must be under a certain price or be in a good location. Additionally, the house must be not dirty. So if your house meets those conditions, you will buy it, but if it doesn't, then you will walk away. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do this, and we're going to review it together. Awesome. So the first thing we need to do is introduce our variables. So I'm going to have the variables of price, and I'm going to put the price of the house at 200,000. Then I'm going to have a variable called is location good. This is going to be a boolean, and I'm going to say that the location is not good. Finally, I'm going to have a variable called is dirty. So is the house dirty? And I'm going to make this a boolean, and I'm going to assign the value of false to it. So your house is not dirty. What are we going to go about to write this? So first, let's just say that for you to buy the house, the price must be under $300,000 and you would be satisfied. So if price is less than or equal to, use that comparison operator, $300,000. And now with the location, or is location good, and now and is not dirty, then you would print I will buy this house. Else, you would print I will walk away. So in this case, you will buy this house because your house satisfies one of these conditions in the or. So price is under 300,000, so this entire condition is true, and your house is also not dirty because is dirty equals false. So because both of these are true, print I will buy this house. Great, now you've just bought a house. Thank you. That's all you really have to know for if statements. Tomorrow, I'm going to go on to a little bit more depth about more conditional types, and we're going to talk about switch statements.